What's up, y'all? I'm out here in the sun, got my little bow. Came in to share some good news with y'all. Give y'all a second or two to hop on. So I am so excited to share with you another sneak peek into my first book, Level Your Wings, A Pilot's Guide to Healthy Relationships. And this is video number 5 of 10 that I'll be giving you all. And if you have not caught the other videos, you can go and look at them on the YouTube channel or in my previous videos, my history on Facebook and Instagram. So if you don't know, I'm Lindsay Jeffries, and I am a therapist that focuses on marriage counseling, and I do a little bit of individual, but I focus on marriage counseling, and I'm also a pilot in the Army. So I take both of my careers as a pilot as well as a therapist and merge the analogies together. And essentially, the entire book is centered on the premise of everything that two pilots have to do in the helicopter to stay alive are the same thing that two people in the relationship have to do to keep the relationship alive. So I draw those parallels, and I've done it 4 other times. And so today we are going to talk about responding to emergencies in the form of a dual auto rotation, or a dual engine failure, which leads to an auto rotation. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ways to identify the different levels of emergencies, as we have to do in the helicopter. Same way you should do in the relationship, to determine which level of conflict are we at right now. Where are we, and what is my required response to this emergency or this conflict? In the previous videos, I talked about communication, I talked about pre-flight, talked about maintenance, coordination with pilots, mission planning, determining the mission of the flight. And so today we're talking about dual engine failure, which is just an example of something that you have to respond to immediately, because what's keeping you alive, what's keeping you in the air, what's keeping you flying is no longer keeping you in the air because it has failed you. So what I want to do is I want to actually start off in the helicopter. So when we're in the helicopter, I've flown Black Hawks and Lakotas. And so right now, when we're in the helicopter and we're flying along, if you're dealing with a dual engine aircraft, this is going to be the type of analogy that I'm going to give you. If you're dealing with a single engine aircraft, then you know immediately you're going to have to respond. But ultimately, the analogy goes to the 2 things that's required to keep us in flight has now failed us. So what do? We now have to manipulate the flight controls, manipulate the airspeed and the power to conserve that power to no longer keep us in flight, but now to utilize that so that we can land safely, so that we can all survive and we're not crashing to the ground. Because essentially what's happening is when we're flying, those 2 engines are working hard to keep us in the air. When those engines stop, we're going to fall. Gravity is taking effect, and we are going to fall out that sky like a rock. So in order to allow us to survive this landing, the mission has to change. It shifts from being able to go from A to B, get to where we need to go, pick up what we need to pick up. All those types of things that we're doing in this mission now has to shift to safely landing this aircraft, using the controls, using the power available to safely land it and allow the survival of the occupants to get out once we land on the ground. And so the analogy that I'm going to bring to you is when there is a conflict. I say emergency because we're using that for the helicopters, but when there's a conflict and it's in the relationship, you have to know that when this conflict is at the same level as a dual engine failure requiring an auto rotation, something that requires you to land as soon as possible. When it's at that same level, the mission of the relationship has to change. It's no longer to continue to build, continue to buy homes or buy cars, or continue to pour in all your resources. This is now, we have to safely exit this relationship without losing ourselves. That is the new mission. The new mission of the relationship is, how do we exit without losing our minds, without losing our emotional self-esteem, without ruining our entire growth process that we have developed over the past few years of our life, of our adulthood, and learning from our experiences. So the mission change, that's the first thing I want to highlight. The mission goes from flying from point A to point B to now flying and safely landing. The mission relationship goes from getting from one level of the relationship to the next and building a future to now how do we safely exit without losing ourselves. And in a relationship, I've dealt with a lot, in my clients, I've dealt with a lot of individuals suffering from anxiety and depression because of a heartbreak, because of a breakup, because they put so much into this. And that's where I come in therapy. I help my clients transition from being in that healthy relationship or unhealthy relationship, but the reality is it's no longer feasible for them to stay in this and continue. So where I come in is I help them figure out coping skills. I help them figure out what did they learn, and these are things that you can do. This is something that I do as a therapist with my clients, but this is something that you can do as a human being, as a person, as the one that is desiring to maintain their growth. You can look at what did you learn? What did you gain? And if you are spiritual, if you have a relationship with God, why did God bring you through this? What did He allow you to learn from this? How can you walk away better than you were before? How can you walk away without losing yourself? So that's the goal. And in this book, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but in this book, Level Your Wings, A Pilot's Guide to Healthy Relationships, I give you detailed step-by-steps to how you maintain your mental health during a breakup, during a loss in that friendship, because you're not just losing a spouse or a partner or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You're losing a friendship. You're losing a support system. You're feeling alone. You're losing that person that you thought was going to be a part of that power couple. And so I give you specific examples on how to maintain your mental health. They vary from coping skills to specific lists of what you can do to write down and write reminders to remember, to help you remember where you're trying to get to in life, what stage you're trying to get to, and how you're going to grow and recover from this. So I hope that helps, and I hope that gives you a interesting sneak peek to one of my chapters in this book. This is the 5th video, and as I mentioned before, I talked about other things that are analogous to helicopters, as well as what happens in relationships. And then today I wanted to just show you just one tiny example of what we have to do in the relationship, which is analogous to the helicopter, which is responding to emergencies and knowing which ones to land for and which ones to continue to press through. Okay, because we have a lot of emergencies, and every little light that comes on does not mean we need to land as soon as possible. And if I treat it as a land as soon as possible, I can make the situation worse. I can make it worse because I've now turned off an engine. I now cut fuel from something when all I needed to do was continue flying. So I talk about the difference in this chapter when you need to continue flying and when you need to land, and when it's an emergency and when it's a land as soon as practical, not necessarily immediately. So I hope that this was helpful. Oh, you like my glasses? Thank you, boo. I got my bow up here, just enjoying the sun. But I wanted to come to you and tell you all thank you so much for your support, and I hope you are looking forward to this book just like I am, and I hope you're looking forward to the next video. So I just want to thank y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope this little nugget intrigues you and starts to make you think, is this a get out now type of situation, or is this a persevere and press on? Ask yourself that in whatever relationship you're in right now. Bye.